Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 5 of the Amanda Natando Show. I'm Amanda, and thank you guys for watching. This season will have a totally different vibe as we go topical and we're focused on cherishing the men in every aspect, from their mental health to their emotional and social well being, which will eventually unpack my journey in the last 2 years towards the end of the season. So don't miss any episode for you to understand my journey with the help of my phenomenal guests who will shed light through their journeys as well, which will eventually make sense towards the end of the season. Without further ado, let me introduce you to my guest today. He's an entrepreneur based out of the UK and a massive believer of the word, Donovan Chemwayi. Welcome, Donovan. You already know that this season is focused on cherishing the men. And one of the things the majority of us have a crisis on is our identity. Confirm. Right? But then, of course, this is due to
Yep,
perhaps
yep.
pressures,
hmm
society media pressure, social media pressures as well, only to mention a few. So let's dive into today's topic, the impact identity crisis the book had on you, or still has on you, or however way you want to express yourself on it.
Yeah, no, definitely still has an impact on me. Definitely still has an impact on me. Um, so before I even get to the content of the book, just coming from a point where I've known the author personally for quite a long time. I knew that the moment I'm gonna go through these pages, I'm gonna connect with this book, connect with the content on such a deep level. So reading it, I had a lot of stuff that I've highlighted, throughout this book, but there's three things that have kind of just stuck by me. One was when the author addresses how simple notions or things you go through growing up become like something stamped in your mindset, or something stamped into your life. And for me, I highlighted that as
Mm.
how generational curses or generational pressures are just passed down from one person to the other, father, son, onto the next generation. So I highlighted that part. The second thing that really stuck by me was the love letter from girl to guy. um and with this letter, the reason why I highlighted it, like what you're saying, that we're focusing on men. When I read that letter, I kind of had to put myself in that situation and try to open up my mind to think, okay, if I was this guy and I've been making girls out here feel certain things or go through certain ways, would I be able to look myself in the mirror and smile and say, okay, you're being a gentleman, or okay, you're living by your purpose, you're doing what you're supposed to do? And the answer was definitely no. So I had to, also check myself from how I've treated women in the past, and how I would definitely treat women moving on forwards from just, that letter, because the expressions, there's nothing new under the heavens. So you could easily just think, okay, I've made someone cry. I've made someone, go through a heartbreak because, of lack of communication, or this and this, like what was mentioned in the letter. So, that as well, like, it forced me to check myself and be like, okay, cool. After reading this, I have to become a better man. I have to, you know, change my ways. I have to fix things. You have to learn. You can't just read something, digest it, and then that's it. There has to be something you you take from it. And then the last thing that stuck by me in this book was when the author is explaining the life cycle of a butterfly. You know, the author describes, the four stages, from when the butterfly is going through the morphing stage to when it becomes a pupa, to when it becomes, the actual butterfly. All these stages, it faces different challenges. It has to force itself to adapt. It has to, force itself to grow. And likewise, I was thinking, okay, in this life, yeah, day to day, we go through these battles. In this life, day to day, we face different levels, different stages, you know. Like just for example, when you finish like university, a lot of people then say, okay, now you're done with uni, you've graduated, now welcome to the adult life. Now
The life that we
you're gonna
didn't
see,
learn at uni, right? The life that
yeah.
we didn't learn growing up, the life that nobody is ever prepared for.
Exactly. You're never prepared for it. But once you're in that stage, you now have to force yourself. You have to adapt. You have to be like, okay, cool. I'm here now. I can't cry about it. I have to make it. I have to
Right,
find a way to get by.
right.
So, so those four stages the butterfly has to go through, it just hit me like, okay, like when when people see a caterpillar, a lot of people just go, ew, bug, squash it, run away from it, or whatever. It's not as appealing,
Yeah,
right? But that's the early stages, Same way as when God is giving you this purpose, God is giving you this dream, it is not going to look appealing to a lot of people, but it's going to make sense to you. Like
yeah.
you've got it. God has showed you, like, okay, this is what I want you to do, or it's something that you've got a passion for, where only like you can actually see that. Okay, this is where I want to end up. This is what I want to build. This is what I love, and to get to the next stage where you're becoming the pupa, like you have to let go of certain things, let go of friends, let go of like certain energies, and just be mindset, like focused, and just keep going one step at a time, trusting that God is leading you, and there's one thing the author mentions that there's a small percentage um of caterpillars that then become butterflies. And
And
I was
we will actually get there because you've touched on three things that actually stood out to you.
yeah,
And as part of our talk today, we're going to be breaking down each one of them. And I am
great.
grateful you actually brought up the caterpillar one because I actually hadn't gotten that deep, not gotten there, but that deep because
Yeah.
the reason or the purpose of why we're even sitting here talking about it is because of the review that you gave, especially on on chapter two, right?
Mhm.
Which you actually said the letter from Tanya to John, I believe, yeah,
Yeah.
to John, right? So it's stuff like that that we've broken down in
Great. Yeah.
today's topic. And thank you so much for bringing up the whole caterpillar
Mm.
one so that we also get onto that. But before we get there, do you mind giving us your own understanding on a personal level,
Mm.
I mean, on a general level of identity crisis as a man?
Okay.
Because, of course,
All
as
right.
a man, you have your own way of thinking versus how we
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So I think it would actually help as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um. Okay. As a man, there's definitely that huge part of identity crisis that we all face.
Hmm.
You know. There's becoming from boy to man, right?
Hmm.
There's certain things, certain decisions that you have to make, right? And a lot of us understand peer pressure. We understand the influence, of people around you, and it's so easy for you to want to become like everyone else other than yourself. It's so easy for a lot of us to get to points where we would rather shy down, be crouched, and not really be that outspoken person, not really express, not really be who you are, just so that you don't stand out in that sense of will I be good enough? Will what I say make sense? You know, all these stages, you go through from, becoming from being a boy to actually then becoming, the man you believe that, okay, I'm destined to become this person.
Mm.
So for me personally, it did get to me personally, because I also went through a stage of identity crisis where I was so accustomed to a certain way of living, and I enjoyed it, I loved it. People loved my energy, people loved who I was, and yeah, nothing was going wrong. Life was good. Life was easy. Life was straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, and uh, yeah, to put it in simple terms, God then humbled me. God then reminded me that I am His creation. I'm
Mhm.
here for a purpose. Although at that point I didn't know what the purpose was, or that I even had a purpose. I was just living. So it took, me getting to rock bottom to then start to think, okay, I've tried it on my own. God, it's not making sense. Now what? Yeah,
But is
you
it
know,
God not making sense, or it's us not knowing or having direction per
it's
se?
definitely us not knowing,
Yeah.
because you know, the good book says, ask and you shall receive. So God will show you, but you have to ask. He's not just gonna show you all these things. You have to like, require him to show you, right? So for me, it was not making sense because I didn't know the right questions to ask, right? It was just a case of, okay, my life is going this way, and I don't understand why, right? So it was a case. I started off with, okay, God, why, right? And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm in this mess. Let me deal with this mess. So I changed now how I was interacting with God. Instead of then just saying, God, why? I was now asking God, okay, God, how? How do I get out of this mess? And, God then showed me. I never used to be someone that used to read in school. I couldn't even get past 2 pages, you know. But during that
Yet you
period,
managed to read Identity Crisis.
yeah, no, you see, that's the thing, during that period of being down there,
Yeah.
I then just thought, okay, do you know what? Let me get myself a Bible. Let me
Yeah.
get myself a devotional book, and I'll
Yeah.
just get one novel. I just get like one novel, like maximum one novel,
Yeah.
you know. But from reading devotions every day to now, reading more into the word, that then led me into, reading just more books and stuff like that.
Mm.
And with that then, God then showed me, then revealed to me, okay, Donovan, this is what I need you to do. This
Mm.
is what you're good at. I was a class clown in school, going through the teenage years. I was a crowd pleaser, energy, people love my energy and all these things. So, instead of God um changing who I was,
Mhm.
right? He just then showed me that, okay, what created you to be,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Use it for A, B, C, and D,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
now that's now who I created you to be. You gotta use that for your purpose
Mm.
instead of what you've been doing all these other times. So
Yeah.
now, that's when I then discovered that, okay, you know what? I'm going to be this person that's going to bring light in this world. I'm going to be this person that's going to share the word. I'm going to be this person that's gonna help someone grow. We grow together. Like I'm not showing you the map or the shortcuts. I'm just saying, come, let's figure it out together, right? But I know definitely someone that knows the way, and someone that's promised that regardless you will get there. So I need you to just trust. So I'm there to then help others believe in what God made me believe. So that's when I then discovered, okay, that is my identity. No matter what I try to do, no matter what I try to achieve, right? It all starts with who God created me to be, from the energetic person, from, the caring person, all those characters, right? If, you just shift the compass a little bit and point it in the right direction, it'll make sense. Like God's plan then starts to make sense. So it took me a while to get there. And like I said, I used to be, this big person of, being in the world and stuff like that. So from making that shift, you can only imagine the backlash I then got from people around me, people that knew of me. Like, no way, you
And
know.
being judged for it, like as
Yeah,
in, oh my gosh, really, the Donovan
yeah,
that you know, and
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly. Then getting that backlash, it can be so easy for you to then snap back to, oh yeah, no, you're right. This is not for me. Let me come back and do what we're doing. So easy, you can fall back. So it's so easy for people to stay, in that cycle of, having that crisis, not finding your true identity. And a lot of people would even, be born and leave this earth without actually knowing, without actually finding out, okay, this is my true identity. This is what I was set out, to do. This is who I'm supposed to be. A lot of people don't get to that point. So me actually then got into a point where I figured it out. I'm very, very grateful.
Okay. And so do you think a lot of men are actually struggling figuring that out rather than or rather have struggled with it for a very long time? Seeing
I
that
think
you as an individual, you managed to figure that out, right? And our generation, thank God for social media, where whatever it is that you choose to influence your mind is what you follow, right? Because some people follow, oh my gosh, we want boobs and da 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 on social media, which is going to, of course, poison the mind. And then, well, in a different way, let me not say poison because for some people it could be good, right?
yeah,
And then you have positive things that are also on social media, motivational stuff and whatever, which will actually bring out your passion or your calling per se, right? So do you think a lot of men are struggling to figure that out as a man, as I'm talking to you like that?
I
Whatever.
think like I like how you addressed different generations. I
Mm,
think in this generation that we're in now, a lot of people are now waking up to that sense of,
mm,
okay, I don't have to do things the way they've been done for the last 10 years, whether in my
that's it.
family, in our history, nation, whatever. Like, a lot of people now are actually starting to discover that, okay, I can be different
Mm,
and it's okay to be different.
that's it.
So now in this generation, a lot of people are getting to those points where they're discovering their identities.
Mm,
And the vast majority that are not, I think a part of that is a simple case of that decision making, a simple case of that choice, a simple case of they might have an idea of, okay, um, my heart, my mind, my soul tells me this, I should go this way, but then a lot more things are influencing them and they're more powerful than their choice. So it ends up being a case of, yeah, no, I'm going to ignore this and I'm just going to stick by the books.
mm, mm, mm. Okay. And so how best do you think like geez, especially like you're saying, men are waking up now And I think they're now getting it faster than they did back in the
Mhm.
day. Thank
Yeah.
God for information through social
Mhm.
media,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
And our generation being woke, having all this, what do you call it? I'm trying to look for the right term, but yeah, just the whole idea. Go to we open, we have exposure is the term.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exposure through social media and stuff like that versus our father's generation, which
Yeah.
they
It was.
actually, I don't think they're actually catching up on it. What do you think?
No, no, they're not catching up.
And do you think
uh,
they ever will catch up?
no, no. That's what I'm saying on that choice.
Mm,
That's what I'm saying on that choice. A
mm,
lot of our forefathers,
mm.
they're having the same exposure that we've got right now,
Okay.
right? They're
Yeah.
seeing how the world is shifting, how things are different now,
Mm,
how things are like moving at a fast period. Like
mm.
kids nowadays, like they'll be 6 and be able to go on a tablet and order this and order this. When we were 6, you couldn't even turn on the TV, right? That's
I
the
know.
truth. So they have that same exposure, but
Yeah.
then choosing to go with the most comfortable route. And the
Mm,
most comfortable route is one you've been treading on and working on for the last
mhm,
20, 30 years,
mhm, mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
it's now getting to that point where you think, okay, me shifting my identity, right?
Mm,
Like you're getting rid of the old and creating something new,
mhm.
right? You can't have two identities, right?
That's
So
right.
that means that who you've been for the last 30, 40 years, right? Who your friends know, who your family love, you have to get rid of that and create or step into um uh a new frame,
Mm,
right?
mm,
But in between the new frame and that old piece is a
mhm.
very, very uncomfortable process. And
Oh,
I think that's
absolutely.
what a lot of people are not ready to go through. Getting out or stepping out of that comfort zone, getting uncomfortable, going through what you need to go through, whether it's, to get that growth, you know, to get closer to God, to discover yourself more.
Mm.
It is the uncomfortableness that a lot of people don't want to go through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
whereas when you make that choice of, okay, if getting uncomfortable or stepping out of my comfort zone is gonna give me, you know, a bit more light in my life, is gonna give me more of me, just making that choice. Because the truth is, once you get uncomfortable, you're then gonna tell yourself, I'm here already. I might as well.
Really?
If
That's the first, I've never actually thought of it that way. When I become uncomfortable,
mm,
apparently I have this whole thing. I force myself when I am too comfortable. Let's put it that way.
mm,
When
mm,
I become too comfortable, I force myself to become uncomfortable. If I should put it that way,
yeah,
because
yeah,
guess what? I know I grow in an uncomfortable zone. You
exactly.
understand? And I have this
Yeah,
whole thing. Oh yay! I need something uncomfortable for it to challenge me. You understand?
exactly.
So
Yeah,
that's a different way of thinking. To say once you're in that uncomfortable situation, you have to say, "Oh, I am here already."
yeah. Like
Turning
I'm,
back.
you be like I'm here already. And the thing is, like, you know, what it took to get out of
Yeah.
the comfortable state. So
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, yeah, no, I can't go back now. Like,
No.
no way. I have to go forwards. I have to go
You know
forwards.
the
Like,
song by, I think it must be Mary Mary.
mm,
I just can't give up now. I don't know if it was
mm,
her, it was them. Come too far from where I started from.
exactly,
Nobody told me the road wouldn't be easy. And then we go.
exactly.
I can't say
And
guys, Mary Mary, don't
and
kill me.
that's it. That's how it goes. Like,
Yeah.
because once you in that storm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You like there's only one mindset you can
Yeah.
possibly have, and that's I have to get through this.
Keep going. Yeah.
I have to keep going. I have to like I can't turn back. I have to get
Mm.
through this.
Right. And so the very reason for us chatting at this very moment, like I mentioned earlier on, was the review that you of the literature identity crisis, especially chapter
Mm,
2, which talks about love identity.
mm,
Let's talk about social pressures of having a partner. Because in love identity, as the chapter says, love,
mm, mm,
lack
mm.
of identity in that area. What let's talk about the social pressures, like yeah, the social pressures of having a partner.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, yeah. Oh, thank you for
uh,
starting.
that that question already brought pressure.
Hey, that's the whole point.
um, yeah, no. When it comes to pressures,
Yeah.
like both sides, male and female, go through it on a different level,
Yeah.
right? And I'll start with the females. Women, um, let's say, women of, African heritage, right? Uh, you grow up, and then it gets to a stage where the aunties and the mothers and the grandparents are not asking you, hey, what's going on with you? Like, marriage? Are you even dating? And yeah,
Biological
the clock,
clock.
the clock, you know, and they'll start telling you, when I was your age, I was already, when I was your age,
Mm,
I was now having two kids, I was married and stuff like that. And everyone has different time, right? Everyone has different timing. Um, but I also understand that, with just those conversations, they can easily, like get to you, like mentally. You can then get to a point where you start to even doubt, whether you belong in a family of your own, whether you are what, being someone's wife and stuff like that. You start to just give yourself extra pressure that you never had before you had those conversations,
mm.
you know and
And don't need.
yeah, and you don't need, because it's your life. One, two, you know in due time, things will always connect, things will always work out, right? If you feel like you are not ready, if you feel like I still want to accomplish A, B, C, and D, then do A, B, C, and D, because there's no point.
But then do you think then you're mentioning on the woman's side, right? Having
Mm,
to accomplish a whole lot of stuff.
mhm.
We're about to get into I think this is about to get heated.
Okay.
And then talk about um having to accomplish stuff, right?
Mm,
Then we come back to you, the men,
mhm,
having to find this woman who's well accomplished
mhm,
versus back in the day where our fathers approached the women, what you do form four, what you go form four,
mm,
who
mm.
have nothing in their name,
Yeah.
or this is my
Mm,
thing. And then you meet Amanda, the daughter of Alex, and
mhm.
to say, you know what? I have ABCD. What are you bringing to
Yeah.
the
What
table?
What do you bring to the
Understand?
table?
So
Even
men understanding that now at all, or I don't know,
no,
because at
we.
the end of the day, that's another thing. If you notice, a lot
Mm,
of people, a lot of people, a lot of successful women, to be
mm,
specific, are single, right? Because
mm.
you try and do research. Okay, why are they single? Men are intimidated. Why are they? So how then? Like, you can continue your statement where you left off, but keep in mind what I've just put on the table, right?
Yeah, no, I was gonna get to what you're about to what you're
Okay,
talking about.
okay, yeah,
Because that's literally majority of the pressure that men deal with.
okay,
That part, that's
okay,
literally majority of the pressure.
yeah.
Because as a man, excuse me, you get to a point where, okay, you decide, okay, I want to get married, yeah, or I want to settle down. I'm at that age. I don't want to be in the streets anymore. I want to have my own. I want to come home to, my kids, my wife, and stuff like that. You've got questions that you ask yourself, right? Well, okay. Question number one, right? Who am I?
Yeah.
Right. Question number two. If I was to find someone right now, can I provide for them? Can I protect them? And can I hold it down? Question number three, you then ask yourself, okay, if I say I am ready and someone else comes into my life and she's ready, right? Going now to the accomplished part of things, will it be a case of I'm pouring into her cup and she's pouring into mine, or it becomes a case of, my cup is half empty. I won't even say half full. My cup is half empty, and she's the one constantly pouring into mine, right? So you need to address all those things
By
before you
half
get to a point.
empty, do we mean, sorry to cut you off, by half
So go on.
empty, do we mean financially or do we mean emotionally?
Across all boards,
Okay.
because as a man, right? Us being ego driven and stuff like that. You wanna
Women now have she-goes.
sorry.
I said women now have she-goes.
Yeah, no, very true, very true. A lot of women will check you and leave you
Yeah.
blank.
And no one is about to be messed with, yo. No.
Yeah, no, very, very true. And that's,
Yeah.
to be honest, I like that energy.
Yeah.
I prefer that energy. Like, show me that you're confident.
Yeah.
Like, show me that, yo, like, because as a man, Auntie, when you move to a girl, right, your objectives are to impress her, to show her that, okay, listen, this is me, right? So likewise, right, as a woman, if you're coming with that confidence, yeah, a man that really wants you should not be intimidated by that confidence.
Period.
A man that's ready to be with you will not be intimidated, even if it's a case of we meet and, for example, financially you're earning more than I'm earning, right? I'm not then gonna say, okay, I like you, but because I really can't because I'm the man. No, like I can't do that. I'll tell you and I'll promise you that, okay, yes, you're earning more than me, your job is paying out more than me, but best believe I'm going to hustle. Best believe if it means that I'm doing overtime, yeah, to show you that, yeah, like, I'm a go-getter. Yes, I will provide. I'm not just comfortable because, you're the breadwinner, stuff like that. Like, I'll go through that,
Right.
and that's being a man. You have to show that, okay, like, I carry most of the load. Yes, in this day and age, that can go both ways now. In this day and age, you can have a dad staying home, looking after the kids, helping out with the kids,
But
and
do you
working
think our
part-time.
generation is catching up on that though?
I think bit by bit. I really think bit by bit. Especially in first world countries. I really think so because in these first world countries here, it's a case of you either both working and you have a daycare or looking after the kids.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, that gives you time to both be on your grind, but then the kids are losing out. Right. That's an advantage that the previous generation had, where 9 times out of 10, mom stayed home, bonded with the kids, looked after the kids, knew everything about the welfare of the kids while dad was out working, right? So the parents would always stay connected with the kids. So in this day and age, you have to now decide, okay, is chasing money, chasing these goals gonna be more important than family, or or just that bond time with the family. And to be honest, within making those decisions, like there's just like compromising that has to be done. There's
Mm.
just like, because you can always plan, you can both work and both also spend time with the kids, right? It just comes down to the realization, okay, we need to do this and this and this and this if this is going to work,
Mm.
right? So I think we are catching up, this generation, we're catching up bit by bit,
Mm.
because like, we're previously saying, we understand that, hey, like, it now goes both ways. Mom can come home talking about, I pay most of the bills because her job allows her to, you know
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
has to now pick up those things that mom would normally pick up. If it's a case
Mm.
of, I know you work till 6 p.m. and I work till 4 p.m., I'm not then gonna wait for you to
Wait
come
for
from
you to
work
come and start
to
cooking.
come cook it.
Yes.
It's not right. It does not make
Mm.
sense,
Mm.
right? So you have to now decide, like, just then making those compromises and understanding, yes, I'm a man, but then ironing is not going to make me less of a man, right? Looking after my wife, her coming home to a cooked meal, it does not make you less of a man. Yeah, 9 times out of 10 should even respect you more, but she understands you've had to pick up your pride and then put it on the side and understand, no, listen, my family is what's more important.
Yeah.
So, you then have to see, okay, impressing my other friends that are married, that are in different situations than I am in, or impressing my wife, or what's more important.
Yeah.
So, so those little decisions. So I think, yes, this generation, we are catching up, and it's by default because of these first world countries we're in, and that's then giving us that exposure of, okay, if things are to work, you have to be willing to do
That's
this.
it.
Yeah.
And that's it. So now, is there a particular situation, as we're talking about love identity, the pressures, societal pressures, and everything, to have a partner, and then having to go deeper into chapter two? Is there a particular situation or personal experience that got you understanding Tanya's letter to John? Because you mentioned it made me reevaluate myself. It
Yeah.
took me back. It made me realize that, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was hurting other people's daughters, and
Yeah.
how best can I become better? Were there any personal experiences, particular situations, or
Yes. There was a
and did you get
few.
to apologize for them?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You
Okay.
see, I read this letter, and I kid you not, I actually got so emotional. Like, you don't understand. Like, I got so emotional, and
Uh-huh.
because, like I said, when I read, right, the best way I can, you know, get my mind, like, all the gears, everything in gear, is by stepping out, right, and then
Mm,
putting myself, in those shoes, right.
yes,
So
yeah.
that letter was, I would easily do that. I would be like, okay, cool. If Tanya's writing to Donovan right now, if Tanya's writing to me and she's saying these things, and it just so happened at that time I was in a relationship, right?
No. Yeah.
So Tanya became my girlfriend, writing me that letter, and I had to like break down every single part of it, from the lying, the pain, lack of communication. You know um it 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 got me, um like, I don't know if you've heard where it will say, god god doesn't look at the outside. God doesn't change you from the outside in, he changes you from the inside out. So you start right at the core. So that's what that letter did to me. It got to me right at the core, which then got literally every like everything that's connected to my heart, like every that's right to my heart, get to a point where I'm like, okay, this is what we need to change, or this is what we need to, like, I actually end up sending like my girlfriend question, like, hey, regarding communication, like, what do you think I can do better? Oh, regarding that other situation, that fight we had, did I handle it better? Like, or did I handle it in a way that was okay. Like I had to check myself, because that letter, it just shows you how easily as men you can cause so much damage to a person, right? And you do it in a way where you just think, I'm being a man, I'm being a guy, like this is what we do, yeah, okay, I lied, da, 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 da. But then you don't understand, Guti, on the other side, where that lie was consumed, what did you break?
Yeah.
you know and a lot of times, guys we break heart, these, like, women's hearts, right? And you know um a lot of women might recover from it. A lot of women might, heal and become whole again, right? But it's not everyone, right? Some will end up getting to a point where, God forbid, they're married, and they go, but you know pieces of them are missing because of trauma, because of that experience you put them through. And yes, as guys, like, you could feel bad, you could have apologized, made up, but then sometimes that apology will not be enough to bring closure to that person, to make them feel like them again. Sometimes, you'll actually break someone, and that'll be it. They'll, like, get to a point where they don't believe in relationships, and some even go as far as not even believing in God anymore, or not even believing that God loves them, because it becomes a question: God, if you really love me, if you're my
Then
daughter, if your
why
word
you allow
says,
this to happen?
why are you allowing this to happen to me? Like, to me, like, God, you say you're close, but you never leave me, you never forsake me. I'm in pain right now. Where are you? So now, like, when you now think of all these things, like, okay, I caused this pain on someone, they cried, and they cried to the Lord. Hey, how is God looking at me right now? How is God really looking at me right now? When I get on my knees and I pray, is God pleased? Right? Because you have
I
to
like
live your
that.
life.
I like that. I like that. I
You
like
know,
that.
you have to live your life in a way that pleases the Lord. Right? Yes, we are humans and we mess up every single day. Right? But then, as someone that strives, or as someone that's close to God, you have to understand, or when you're doing something wrong, when you're causing pain, it has to trigger, like, when you're a kid and you touch a stove that's on, right?
Hmm.
You will not know that that's hot till you actually touch it, and the nerves send a spiking message to your brain that, hey, I don't
Never
know
do it
what that
again.
is, but remove your hand from it,
Mm.
right? So, as people that, we're making mistakes every day, and also still trying to get closer to God. The closer you get to God, certain things now should not trigger that. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. No, I could handle this better. No, I could slow down a little bit. I could, let me listen, right, and then reply after. Let me not be the one that always has to win arguments all the time. And those are things I always used to do. It was either my way or the highway. Communication was just all over the place. I used to break hearts, and so that letter there, it opened my eyes to, like, what I could have done to a lot of girls out there that, I got involved with, right? And seeing that, and feeling that, I then had to get to a point where I'm like, yeah, no, dude, we have to, you gotta do better, man. It's not okay. No one wants to go through a heartbreak. No one wants to get to a point where they're so in love, they believe in love, and then just like that, it's taken away. No one wants to go through that. It is not okay. Like, going through pain is not okay. Like, yes, we're humans, we go through it, but if it can be avoided, you know, it can be avoided. Like, rather be safe than sorry. Not a case of, yeah, no, if I lie, I'll do damage control after. Things can be different. Men can treat women better. We can be gentlemen. We can protect our queens. You know, we can fight for them. We can love them the way they're supposed to be loved. Vice versa, queens can also love us and protect our hearts, because yes, there's also a lot of queens that are um messing up men's mental health out here. You know, but that's a whole different topic.
I was about to say that's a whole different topic
That's
you
a
don't
whole
want to
different
get into
topic.
with me, especially.
You know, um, but yeah, like, you know, we just have to look out for each other, look after each other. You know,
Mhm.
because you only get one life, right? You only get one life. You'd hate to be, you know, the reason someone took their life because of a heartbreak. It happens. You know, it happens. It's very possible. And now imagine how you're gonna look at yourself, right? Thinking, dude, I got involved with that girl for like an hour. Now I cause someone to take their life, and you have to live with that. That's those. Yes, those are extremes, but they also happen. You
And
know,
they do
so
happen.
yeah,
And
they do happen. You know, so as guys, we have to do better, man.
right.
Yeah, we have to do better. This whole men at try situation, it's not a compliment. It's not, you
No, it's
know.
not a compliment anymore. Not
Yeah,
anymore. No.
it's really not. So
So did that actually bring you to the caterpillar as an individual, to the
mm,
caterpillar chapter where it kind of peeled you off, to from that Donovan after reading the letter to say, wow, I didn't realize this. And then having to check yourself, how best to move forward and stuff like that. Are you at a point where we can say, okay, you're a butterfly now, or you're still in the process of being a
um,
caterpillar and
I'm still
mm,
definitely still in the process. Like I mentioned, I was in a relationship that time I read the letter. Unfortunately, that relationship ended. So I then got to a point where
oh, by the way, ladies, just so you know, he is actually single if you're watching this. Anyway, just to
I'm I'm
lighten up the tone, girl.
I'm single and healing, ladies. I'm single and
There we go.
healing.
You
So
know the one thing I appreciate about that statement?
mm,
God, Donovan, you have no idea. People, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna put it right straight, especially men, have
mhm,
this whole thing. I'm just gonna move to the next. I'll move to the next
mhm,
without having to figure you out first in
yeah,
regards to you. You
yeah,
understand? Because at the end of
yeah,
the day, for you to be in a relationship, having to compromise a bit about yourself for you to complement the next person, you need that moment back
you
to
need,
say, who's one of them again? You
yeah,
understand? And how best can I do better? And what is healing? You understand? Because
yeah,
I find the reason why we are talking about the right now, we're talking about cherishing men, is I believe a lot of them are broken. You understand?
yeah,
And
yeah,
while I am
yeah,
saying that,
yeah.
I've experienced it myself. For me to say, you know what, I am gonna be, we are in a woman's world. I get it. But there are men who are out there. We know the statement, hurt people hurt people. You understand?
Exactly.
Hurt
Broken
people.
people are out here breaking more
You,
people.
you, you
It's
see
crazy.
now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're one of the few, if I want to be honest, men who've said, you know what? I'm single and healing. I'm not single trying to left, right, and center every woman to heal your past or whatever it is, right? Because a lot of men do that.
I won't lie. Yeah, I used to be on the
Yeah.
a lot of men do that side.
W-
You
Okay.
know, I definitely used to get the point where from one relationship,
Hmm.
2 3 months, get into
Well,
another
I can put
one.
another one anyway.
And the crazy thing was the issues you had in the previous relationship, you now find them in this new relationship. You then now
Absolutely.
start to think, am I dating the same person? But no,
Yeah.
sometimes
And then no, no, no.
you
Actually,
didn't
you
do the
start
growing.
thinking all women are the same.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
yeah. So, you know, relationship ended just shortly after I read the book, but already the book had an impact on me. So when that relationship ended, I then had to make, those decisions of, okay, now how am I gonna be a better person? Right? What was I lacking, or where was I lacking? And to be honest, you're not gonna get the answers just like that. Especially, when you're angry or dealing with this hurt, and you're not going to get the answer. So it takes time for you to unpeel the layers. I think that the author mentions something like that as well in the book, where it's very, very good to take the time to unpeel till you get to right where the center is, and you deal with the problem. So yeah, now I'm single, but I'm healing. I'm working on rebuilding myself, being a better person for, the next person I'm going to meet. But I'm at that stage where, yes, I also want to put a ring on someone's finger. I'm working on building myself financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and God is helping me with that. It's going to take time, but God's helping me. Um, so yeah, no, identity crisis, the caterpillar. I'm definitely I'm not yet a butterfly, but at the same time, I'm not a caterpillar anymore.
Okay.
Right? I'm right in the middle where I have it the hardest, but I'm ready to go through it.
Mm.
Because I want to see the secret God has for me, the plans He has for me. I want to see that. I want to witness that. I want to live that. I want to be a part of that. I want, those that care about to be a part of that. But at the same time, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's going to take being uncomfortable. It's going to take going through ups and downs, sacrificing, you know, um, losing more of you, accepting more of God. But the good thing about it is eventually, you will get there. So eventually I will be that butterfly. Ladies, eventually I will be ripe and ready.
And when he's back in the market, guys, we'll make sure that. But you know what? I am so proud of you, Donovan, and I hope this would actually be an example to other men out there to say it's okay to back off, focus on you, like get out of the dating scene because think about your sister, think about your daughter to those who have kids, think
Mm,
about, the hero females in your lives, would you want them to be treated? I always say, I want to meet my dad. You understand? Because guess
mm,
what? I know who my dad was, not only to me as a father, but as a husband to my mom. You
mm.
understand? And I'm learning a lot of things as grown as I am now, and I'm like, wow, oh really, that was actually him, and not the fact here with, oh yeah, just because he's your dad, I'm telling you the good things. I also
Yeah,
like the man stuff,
yeah,
where you're
yeah.
like, you know what, no one's perfect. I get
Mm,
it. You understand? And I'm learning, and I just hope as we view or people watch this, that they're able to understand from your perspective as a man. And hence the reason why I'm having these talks with men, because
mm,
as women, you can attest to this now that you're actually kind of wearing other people's shoes, e.g., Tanya, right?
mm.
We see some of these things as nurturers, right? As nurturers as we are, we see some of the things, but oh my gosh, this guy is struggling from childhood trauma. You understand? And
Yeah, yeah.
around, we try and nurture you, we try, but because you haven't dealt with it as an individual, as a man, you won't see it,
You won't.
right? But
You won't.
me, I have this. That's why God said, you need a helper because he
Hmm.
knew what he was putting in our minds that you guys don't have. You understand? And
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, because this season is quite emotional for me, and hence the reason why I am so expressive when it comes to this, because I want our men to also feel human. to be able to express their emotions, to be able to express whatever it is that they're feeling without feeling as though they're less of a man. You
Yeah.
understand? Because at the end of the day, this we're now walking around broken over people not healing, maybe from their childhood trauma, maybe from their past and stuff like that, but having to sit down and say, you know what, I can actually sit down with Donovan and talk about stuff. I know good he's a man, but I hope he won't judge me because I
Yeah.
know men have this whole thing. I'm not going to talk to that man because it's going to seem like
Mm.
I'm a man or whatever. But it's okay, to express yourself. And that's why for me it was so huge when I heard the review. I was like, oh my gosh, please connect me to this guy because I want him to get into detail as to how
Mm.
he got to understand the chapter. You
Yeah.
understand? And more is going to be exposed towards the end of the season, so you're going to have to pay attention, and I totally appreciate your input, especially on this episode, because
No, thank you so much for
a
giving
lot
me
of
time.
it's not a lot of people would take time to understand from another person's perspective, right?
Mm.
But the few that have done that, we thank God for that. But as we continue to do interview, how best can we, as a woman, asking you as a man, and as us nurturers that we are, help in giving men support, space to express their emotions and or any other challenges that men may be facing, because I know you guys, it's not easy to open up, right?
Yeah.
And like you say, generations are changing. As much as we go out there hustle, the men can stay, be a take care of the kids or whatever,
Hmm.
they also need to be able to catch you on the part where you can
Yeah.
express yourself and it's okay because you're human.
Mm. Um. Obviously, it's going to be different for every couple. It's going to be different for everyone. But speaking generally, a lot of men, um, as much as we are all macho, as much as we are the protectors, as much as we shield you, as much as we fight for you, we also have a gap where we want you to fight. Fight for me, fight for my feelings, fight for what I believe in,
Mm.
right? We also want you to provide that safety net for me. That's why I hear a lot of men who say, um, babe, when I come home, I don't want to argue, I don't want to do, because when I come home, this is the space where I get to chill. This is the space where I get to unwind, right? So we want that safety net. And for me personally, once I get comfortable, I keep things very close to the heart. But once I get very, very comfortable with someone, like, I will open floodgates. I will open up to you and I will let you see it as it is. Right. But it's once you have shown me that, okay, I care about you, I've got your back, you're safe here, right, in my arms, and whatever it is you're going through, I want to be a part of it, not just to say, oh, I know he's been dealing with this, or I know he dealt with this, but for me to then say, okay, cool, babe, how can we solve this, or how can we tackle this? Are we
Because it's a
talking
partnership,
therapy?
right?
Sorry?
I said because it's a partnership.
It is.
Partnership, two
It
people.
is. So,
Yeah.
if I'm hurting, you need to be able to understand. There's sometimes um women will say, baby, come and talk to me about it. But then sometimes it has to get to a point, especially when you're dealing with man. You have to see when he's not himself, even before he mentions that, oh babe, I was dealing with this. Because sometimes as a man, you will hold in. It's so ugly. I don't like it. But we are wired, Kuti, when you're hurting, when you're going through it, don't just tell people your problems. Yeah, as a man, hold
Okay.
in.
Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
I was going to bring up that certain situation
Uh-huh.
because it's legitimately happening. You
Mhm.
understand? Where I know a man, let's use John as the
Mhm.
name again.
John been going through it.
They have been in a long-term relationship. It would take 6, 7 years, but they can't talk about a personal issue that's hurting them. But with their woman, with Tanya, but they're able to go to Nicole, Samantha, just throwing out names.
Yeah.
Same issue and say, I can't talk to my girl about it and I just need to let it out. But they're able to talk to every other woman, not their woman. You understand? So as you're saying, to say, men have this whole thing that they can't say their problems to other people. And seeing that the society is changing too. And us having these talks, people kind of know, look at her, how she has the similar talks, right? And she's cherishing men and stuff like that. And we have the podcast. I think it's called Men Enough. Yeah, Men Enough. They're also cherishing the men, right? We're opening that door for you guys to be open. But if you're saying, I can't tell my woman, so why are you in it? Is my question. Do you understand?
Yeah.
7 years. So how is it going to get better once you tie the knot? What's
I think us men, we are like kids sort of when it comes to trust, right? As if you go visit someone else's kid, you're not just going to rush in there and hug them and pamper them and stuff like that. You're going to give them space to get comfortable with who you are, and then let them come to you and then play with you. So sometimes it's good to go check your guy, babe. Are you good? What's been going on? You seem off, da 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 da. And sometimes it's also good to let him come to you, because a lot of us guys, like I was saying, we are taught to always be okay, right? We're taught that you don't show weakness. So you always want to have that strong front. You always want to seem okay, even when you're breaking on the inside, right? So sometimes just now, your wife or your girlfriend constantly showing you, hey, I want to talk when you're ready. Hey, I want to know what's going on. Hey, I notice, something's been off. You've been struggling with sleeping the last month.
But
Let
if
me
it's
in.
not there, so what's the point? Because clearly, if the same John goes to the Nicoles of the likes and it literally says, I can't talk about this to my woman because she's this type of person. My question is, then why are you in it? Because it's not going to get any better. Right?
Yeah,
And
it
don't
won't.
think with
It
the
won't
journey you're
get
not going
better.
to have any problems, because let me give an example. Let's say somebody close to John is dying, right? How are you not able to talk to Tanya? But you're
Yeah,
able to
that's
go to Nicole,
that.
you're able to go to Colette, you're able to go to Samantha, you're able, and same situation, same story, 5 women who are not your woman, but
You are
you're
not your wife.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
understand?
that's a case of um uh communication malfunction within that household, right?
So why
You
stay in
have
it?
you have got to a point where you guys you custom yourself to not addressing things. You've accustomed yourself to not speaking about things. So that's why, no matter how deep it is, John can go to those 5 ladies and let it out easily, right? Because it might be a case of, yeah, they understand me, or they listen, or when I speak, they don't try to cut me off. Whatever the reasons may be, it comes back to, within that household, you guys need to address how you communicate. You need to address, how you lay things on the table. You need to address how you resolve situations, because maybe 60%. That might be the case. Right? I don't want to put a high percent, but 60%. That might be the case where he thinks, okay, as much as I want to talk to her about it, what do I get? Because every time I try to talk to her about my family, she's gonna go off, no, your family this. That's why I don't like them. So why bother? Right? That just it's an example of how we could process
But why
that.
stay in it? It's still a
Ah,
relationship. It's not a marriage.
Bolo, love.
What is love? Love. If even if you read what you call it, even if you read, when you read Identity Crisis, it makes you put your name on First Corinthians 13:4-7, where
Love
away
is.
is the word love, and there's
Mm,
you. Okay,
mm.
is Donovan patient? Is Donovan kind? Is Donovan, you have to be asking yourself those questions, right? It's huge. I find it's huge. I don't know. I find
Yeah,
it
no,
I find it to be huge. Like, what's the
it's
point of staying in such a toxic? I was about to say something bad, but yeah, something toxic. If you know when you tie the knot, it's not going to get any better. What are you going to
yeah.
teach your kids? You
No,
understand? You're
no,
going to teach
definitely.
that it's okay, to cry out there and not, exposing yourself to the world rather than being in there.
Yeah, no, no, definitely. It's either they're gonna have to address it and be very uncomfortable and make that shift on how they're gonna communicate, or yeah, like what you're saying, like what's the point? You're gonna
Oh, we are losing you, Donovan. Can you hear me? All right. Yeah. So as I was still saying, thank you so much, Donovan, if you can still hear me on your end. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing your sentiments about love, identity, about, everything that you've been what you've gone through, and from a process of being a caterpillar to being a butterfly. And we cannot wait till you become a butterfly. And I just hope every other man out there who is in a situation that you've once been in, or we're struggling with a whole lot, we'll get to understand through this interview. It was truly helpful, although we only had one question on how best should we practice self-love. This is for you, the viewers. How best should we practice self-love regardless of gender in order for us not to have a love identity crisis? So, with that being said, I hope this is homework for you to look into, figure you out. Don't rush to be in a relationship all in the name of, oh my gosh, time is moving, or society says this is how it's supposed to be. Because guess what? You have a whole lot to accomplish, and you've been called to become somebody in your life. But thank you so much for watching. Keep watching, because like I mentioned in our trailer, we are definitely exposing some of the things that men are going through, and at the end of the season you'll get to hear my story on how this has contributed to the season of me cherishing the men. With that being said, take care, and remember, little girls with dreams become women of vision. Take care, and God bless you. I love you. Mwah.